Welcome to Coach's Corner, episode 5. I know it's been a long time, but we're back again. We're getting in the swing of things. It's been crazy at work for everybody, but now we're back into it. How's your semester been going, man?
Rough. It's with the Christmas break and everyone being off and home, it's kind of hard to get practice and scrims and stuff. Luckily, we had a break from CSL for all of that. But yeah, we didn't really practice going into our last two games, and it was rough because it was one of those things where like we had to win our next two games to get playoffs. It was just one of those, and we won our first game, but then we lost to Oakland, who is considerably better than us. Their B team had two D1 players on it. So we kind of just were like, we'll try, guys. We got this, easy peasy. D1 just shiny silver, it's no big deal. And we got rolled pretty hard. It was, 21-minute or like 20-minute no Baron, just Rift Herald dancing at the end, which is the super BM. I know I did that with you last night,
Yeah,
Shadow.
you
We were
did.
like, dude, I want to BM these kids. Get the Rift Herald, and then
Yeah, we were winning at like 20 minutes or something, and he was like, I was like, wait, why aren't we helping, or why aren't you helping us end? And he's like, oh, the Herald dances, and I see him just like run backwards and go get it. I'm like, okay. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, the
yeah,
Herald
yeah,
dances.
the hero dances at the end if it's alive when you blow up the Nexus. But yeah, so there's one of those games, and then the next one was like 27 minutes, but we stalled it out, but they were
The
kind of
goal
trolling.
was to stall, but I was
Yeah,
running across the entirety of the map to
yeah,
get away from him.
because it was streamed on CSL, so it was like a huge stream. There's like a couple hundred
hmm
people there, and they're just like the Blitzcrank cam is Blitzcrank is like running through the jungle, being chased by the intermediate carry as
We
they're
were
like
red
ending
side.
the
I'm in blue's bottom jungle, just running all the way up across the map, trying to get away.
game.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
so like
why can't we be friends, bro? We could talk about this.
the goal was just to have fun. Like we knew we weren't
yeah.
gonna win, so we were kind of just like trolling a little bit. But yeah, we knew that we probably weren't gonna win going in, so we kind of like, hey guys, like let's have fun. And I mean, the guys all took it well because like no one likes losing, no one likes getting crushed. Like it's one of those things where like, hey, dude, let's just pick our favorite champions, like whatever, just go on, just
Mm.
let's crack everything else. So yeah, that was kind of tough. And then we are supposed to play in CeeLo. I don't know if I talked about this. I probably haven't talked to it. We're supposed to be in CeeLo, but there was a little bit of a website and user error on as far as my part because when I signed up for the team, I thought we just were automatically set, and it said waiting for season to start to put in roster or whatever, some weird stuff. And I didn't see the on Discord, and they're like, hey, if you're having this error, like let us know. So I was waiting for the schedule to come out, waiting for the schedule to come out, and the schedule came out. We weren't on it. I was like,
Feels
oops.
bad.
That's
So
always fun.
it was fine. We were probably gonna like it's if you lose two games in CeeLo, you're out. So we probably would have just played two more games, which would have been this weekend anyways. So
All right.
like then we would have been out regardless. So I mean it wasn't that big of a deal. Um, but yeah, then we played Rift Clash this weekend, which I'll talk about that later because that was kind of a big tournament. But how is Overwatch going since the Christmas break?
Good. It's a whole change of team. So we lost 5 of our players out of 6. We kept one. I kept our main tank Toby. But he's just like, I don't want to play main tank anymore. I want to play other stuff and have a little bit more fun. The team average went from 4.1k, which is top 1%, to like plat average, which is above average, but not by a ton. Um, and it was just kind of an unlucky. We were lucky when had the original team. Is the same core of like 4 to 6 guys we've had for 3 years. Great players, all really good guys. We're all super good friends, and we got a lot better playing the game together. Over the course of the past 3 years, but because we were all like the same, I think we were like in our either early freshman or late sophomore, or the other way around. We're all within like 2 semesters of each other, and so once we started to lose players, the rest of the players the other couple players who are still left who didn't graduate last semester are in their last semester doing their capstone. And so they're like, hey, I don't. It's a lot of energy and time to rebuild the team, and so I'm just gonna step down and focus on schoolwork while we do kind of like a whole restructure. So I'm really excited for the new team that we have. They're a bunch of great players. They're all excited to get in and play. They're really excited to be on that top roster now, and they've been grinding over the course of the past couple of years to get there. A lot of these players have been are pretty solid, but they've been on the B team because they were just stuck behind a really phenomenal team that we had.
No. No, I mean, is that a super common thing for just like the entire team just to disappear?
No,
Like,
not really. We
like
got
I'm
really
not
lucky
fucking
because we
yeah.
had such a good team, but it's unlucky at the end when it's like, oh, now we're back to kind of where we should be. So, but this team has a lot of potential, and I really feel like we can take them to be pretty solid.
Top 16 or
Yeah,
vibing.
we'll
I will.
it'll be a few years before we're anywhere near that again. So
Okay, okay. And Noah.
As for the CS:GO team, we finished the season 7-2, and we would have finished third, which would put us into playoffs, and we could have played for that. But because we tied with the third place team as well, we were both 7-2. We ended up losing to them earlier in the season, and so they went off of that, saying, "Hey, you guys already played ahead, or 1v1, and so you guys lost, so therefore that team goes forward." And we're like, "Ah, okay, whatever, that makes sense." But it was an open, which means it was like the lowest of all the brackets, which allows us to get an understanding for where a team is. And I felt like we definitely improved, and you could tell there was some dedication there. We scrimmed at least once to twice a week, sometimes even more than that, and so there was dedication from the team, and I think we can improve from there. So
No, that's good. I mean, like visible improvement is always just the goal,
mhm.
right? As long as you're getting better, you're just like, yeah, we'll just keep getting better.
And the want to get better, not
Yeah,
just
Yep.
that's
getting
more.
better naturally, and then just I don't want to play.
Then there's like the want to get better, but then like you don't want to put in the work to get better, which is obviously
Mhm,
practices and
mhm.
watching demos and stuff like that. So that's really awesome to hear because that's step one.
I also got this application. It's called the Demo Manager, and it gives me a lot of data on the games, which allows for so much information that I can help improve the team and coach it a lot easier. Like heat maps of where you are, you can tell that this person's very consistent of where they go, like stuff like that, where they aim all the time, like if they always shoot for the legs first or if they hit the head first. Like it's a lot of information that I'm excited to use going into the next season. So
That's
No,
pretty
so
cool. I love analytics like that. That's the one
mhm.
thing that I really, really like about esports over traditional sports is the numbers are perfect. There's never like
Yep.
somebody like wrote something down wrong. Like the game gives you the exact values. Like there's so much data that can be pulled from that. That's so fantastic. Overwatch League does a really good job of like they have an open API where anyone can grab all the data from all the matches, and so people do like fantasy Overwatch League and stuff like that with just like actually just straight up raw numbers, which is really cool to see that kind of analytics. I know actually
yeah,
here at Ferris, our basketball court got a system installed, I think a year or two ago, where as you're taking shots, it'll tell you like where you're taking it from, how, if your shot was too high, what you can do to adjust your shot to make it better, and your percentage from like a heat map on the floor. And it can track like both teams as you run up and down the floor and stuff. It gives you like pretty good numbers, which is pretty cool. But it's still trying to track real world stuff instead of having like perfect information.
yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, League's got like similar things, but there are a lot of like measurables of like game state of like this is the current game state. This is where the waves are, and this is what the team does based on those waves. My personal favorite for League is like warding maps and stuff, which is something that I would do a lot of. Just like this is where they put their wards. This is where we put our wards. This is where we can move our wards to get better vision, that kind of stuff. Which something that I always really liked. I have an entire I know unknown seed. I've got an entire Twitch clip of like 15 minutes of me just talking about basic warding.
I learned a
It's
lot from that.
15 minutes long. It's just
Send it
basic
to me.
warding. That's all. No, it's for support. It's not you.
It's
Won't
for
Okay.
use
support, but
Sad.
if you ever take up support,
Yeah. No, and it's just like, whoa! I never thought of this.
yeah, honestly, referring to it and seeing how your vision top could influence your junglers. Like if you're duoing a lot, like talk to your jungler, and the information is huge. And
Yeah,
I think that's something that's underrated in lower ranks
it's kind of hard to ward top lane.
at
You
all in
can,
general.
yeah, you can, but like it's kind of just a 1v1 lane, and it's
You're on an island.
bottom lane. You have a person there that's dedicated to warding for you, so it's like a little bit
Mhm.
easier. She got more wards, but like just like having two wards topside, just you have to know like exactly where to put them, and it's more beneficial to just to track the enemy jungler in your head, which is difficult, especially. I know you never know where the enemy jungler is. I always know where he is, so I'm just like he's
Yeah,
coming.
no. Well,
Back up.
I'm still trying to figure out like what the other guy's abilities do. Like just so when I play
Yeah.
against champs that I know, like I've been playing, so if I see a champ a bunch, I'll play a couple of games with them in regs just to figure out what their kit
Yes.
and what they're trying to do is. But if I'm playing ranked and I come across someone like some random person I've never seen, like I played against a Jace and I was like, what is going on?
Oh
I
yeah.
figured it out
He's
and I
a
beat him,
mage
but
family?
yeah,
What
I
the
was like,
hell?
oh, he's got a big hammer. I can just go hit him, and then he shot me with it, and I'm like, excuse me, what was that? So, yeah, but
No.
well, I'll get there.
I encouraged that when I was like people were just learning the game. I always used to tell them just like, hey, look, a free week every 2 weeks. They change the champions. Play all of them. Play like 5 games of each. I know it's a lot of games, but like eventually they repeat, so you get some of the same ones over and over again. But just play them as much as you can. Like figure out their matchups and stuff like that. Like when are they strong, when are they weak, and then it's significantly easier to like figure out how to play against them.
I recommend the same thing with Overwatch. When someone's just getting into it, I'm like, okay, you start playing Soldier or Lucio, where if you just kind of stand there, you get value. And then once you understand like what the point of the game is, then I tell everyone to play at least an hour or 2 hours on every hero. Because it's easier to beat that hero if you can get inside their head and know what they're doing. And then just go, okay, they're trying to do X. I can stop X by Y. And then you just do it.
No.
Yes, Counter-Strike.
Same thing, right?
Totally.
Just click on
yes.
their heads.
I get to choose
So-
who I want to be that game. I can
No,
be an
so-
SMG, an AK, or an op.
for Counter Strike, it's spray patterns, right? Where you have to
Oh my god.
memorize, because you're not gonna have the same gun theoretically every single time because you switch sides, right? And they have different guns on different sides,
Mhm.
some unique guns and stuff. So memorizing spray patterns is basically the same thing. We're just like, if they change a spray pattern, you just go and learn it. Whether or not you know you're gonna play that gun or not is irrelevant. Just you go and learn in case you pick one up randomly. You're like, oh, I don't know how to use this gun. Tap,
Every
tap,
gun's
tap,
got
tap,
its
tap.
own spray
Yeah.
pattern, which is super annoying. Except for SMGs, they all naturally pull down and run.
So the thing that drives me nuts about both CS and Valorant is every game I play, every FPS game I play, the bullet will go where your cursor is. Right? Or even if there's bloom, like there's bloom in some of the games, so it'll split away from that. But it's never
Yes.
just like, oh, it's over here now. And so it's really weird to be like, so when I'm
Well-
playing Valorant, I'll like, because I play it a lot more than I do CS. Like
Right.
like literally, it feels so weird to like pull away. Like in Overwatch, it's just like leave the dot on their head and just click the button and you'll kill them. But so like
in
to just like train
CS:GO and
myself to like
Valorant,
leave.
because Valorant's basically a revamp of CS:GO.
Mhm.
Essentially, if you think about it, all the bullets in those games are projectiles. They're not lasers like you think they are. Yes, they're essentially lasers, but you can flick, which means the projectile will turn with your flick as you're
Mhm.
moving your mouse. So it's a weird concept to think about, but
Well, I play projectile heroes like in Overwatch, and I actually been
that's
playing
a
a lot
lot
of Fortnite
slower.
and stuff too. And it's just like, yeah, but to train myself to like, I've learned the spray patterns in Valorant, but it's just like it was so weird for me to be like, look away, and then you'll kill them.
Right.
Like when I get a kill for someone at the end of a spray pattern, and I'm like looking at the wall next to them, and they just like died over here. I'm like, that feels cheap, but I know that's.
Well,
But
think
yeah.
about it. Think about it as a Hanzo arrow at the speed of Widow shooting her sniper.
But,
Like, it's the same premise, honestly, but it's kind of weird.
Okay.
What do you-
Shooter.
what-
Yeah.
Yeah, FPS.
That's
I
why
like how
Contra-
Overwatch is like the intermediate between our
Yes.
games, and then we're just like super.
No, so like we could both agree that like CS:GO and League are much more advanced than Overwatch, and Overwatch is like the kid version. Like,
Oh,
Yes.
yeah,
Then
there's no
there's
skills
Valorant.
at all. Actually, somebody did a chart. It was a big aim guy. Like I don't remember who he was, but he said that Overwatch is the hardest game to aim in. But it's the game where aim has one of the least amounts of impact.
Okay.
I guess it depends on what you classify of who's the meta at that time, right?
I mean,
'Cause,
even
like,
just in
aiming
general.
aiming a projectile is really hard in that game at first when you first start playing it, but like aiming Widow, you just kind of point and click.
Well, even with like playing against
is
good
he
players who can
considering, like,
juke and like
movement
movement
shields?
abilities.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
the
that
movement
makes sense.
shields, jumping,
Yeah.
like in like Counter Strike, you're not gonna have someone like blinking over your head and like trying to one clip you from
I
behind.
don't know, man. Have
and-
you seen anti-cheat?
well, sure. but he's also like yeah, it's one of the hardest games to aim in, and all the Overwatch people are like, look, and then his next tweet was like, yeah, but it doesn't really matter that much, and then everyone's like, oh, stop. it's
Oh,
true,
he
too.
knows.
But you'll see a lot of players who are good at Overwatch aiming immediately go to these other aim heavy games and just kind of dominate. Like look at
Mhm.
Sinatra, like he was phenomenal in the Overwatch League, and he's now like just kind of dominating in Valorant.
That was really funny. Well, I played. I was like at my 2,000 hour mark in CS:GO, and then one of my friends was like, "Hey, you should try Rainbow Six Siege. It's like this newer game, and you'll like it." I'm like, "Oh, sure, I'll try it." And I literally the second round I ever played on Siege, I aced all headshots, and he's like, "What? Your aim is insane." And I'm like, "Oh, I just played CS:GO for 2,000 hours. Don't mind me."
Everybody I know who's just like grinded CS is just like they just click heads no matter what the game is. They're just like, it's nuts. But that's what matters most in CS. It's just like,
hmm
did you click
Well,
on? Did you hit
Valorant feels like
exactly
the
what you need
heads
to?
are easier to hit. Like they're bigger headshot hitbox. I don't know. Like it's weird. So like personally, this is super personal opinion of things, but like when I pick up the SG, which is a T-side scoped weapon that you can buy for Counter-Strike, it feels like headshots are easier because you just kind of flick tap and they are like feels like they're bigger headshot hitboxes. Then you go to Valorant and you play those and it feels like headshots are just naturally easier. And then you play CS:GO with a Deagle or an AK, and you're like, "Why isn't my bullet hitting their head? I'm shooting their head. What's going on?" Yeah, it's really weird because you feel like it's this way, and you look at the statistics and the research, and you're like, "Well, it's not." But why does it feel like this? I don't know. It's a weird concept.
A lot of it has to do with like the models and how they actually fit the
Right.
hitboxes and what is more apparent and that kind of stuff. Overwatch I
hmm
know is really frustrating because a lot of the characters have weird, like Hanzo when he draws his bow back. If you're Widow and you're shooting from this side, you'll hit the bowstring and not hit his head, and it counts as a body shot, and it's really weird. And like Mercy when she reses, she sticks an arm up. So like pro Mercies will have like a toggle, a DPI toggle on their mouse, and just spin as fast as they can. So that way there's
hmm
the likelihood of when somebody tries to shoot them in the head, it catches their arm instead of their head. There's like
Yep,
a bunch of
CS:GO
weird
has the
like
same
hitbox
thing.
maneuver stuff.
If you flash an enemy, you have a chance if they cover their face, you have the chance of hitting their arm, counts as a body shot. Same thing with if they are flinching and they're bouncing their gun up because they got hit once because they don't have armor or whatever, they'll bounce up and you can hit their arms instead of their head. Like same thing. It's so weird.
Yep.
Yeah. But at the same time, you can see a pixel of a guy's toe and shoot it. So
Yeah,
I
true.
don't know.
A lot of Overwatch League professional players play on render scale 75% because they swear so everything looks like garbage, right? They play every Overwatch player I know plays on maximum low settings anyway, because it removes some barriers and it just like smooths textures over and stuff, and it just makes the enemy stick out. But some people play on 75% render scale because they swear it makes the red outline around the player like 1 pixel bigger, which doesn't make you hit them easier, but they're like it's easier to see. You're like most of the time in Overwatch you can pretty much see everyone all the time anyway, but it's mostly like Widow players that are like I need the 1 extra pixel so when they try to peek me, I can get the heads up by.
And it's the same thing with playing in 4-3 stretch aspect ratio in CS:GO. If you look at like the difference, the player models are like skinny, thicker, 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 stretch. Like it's like huge comparison, but you also your field of view is like
Yep.
this, but like super stretched out. So you see them as bigger, but you're not actually seeing them as bigger, so to speak. Um, but it's really funny to watch when you're playing the game because I play a native 16:9, which is like super zoomed out compared to most players. And when you see one of the like a 4-3 player watching like a retaking a site or something, and you can see the guy walking to the like the side of his screen, and you're like, he's to your left. You clearly see him, and he's just still looking this way, and you're like, oh my god, he's playing in 4-3. He can't see him. His screen's not big enough. And you're like,
Yep.
oh
I was watching a video by the Score Esports actually where they were talking about that because there was like one pro who like they showed a bunch of clips of like pros holding angles but like leaving a sliver and a guy just like walking up to them in that sliver because they just couldn't see. They're like I can see most of it, it's fine, and then they don't see the guy coming around the corner fast enough.
Yeah, that's why in the actual streaming of it is in 16:9 plus it's 1920 by 1080, so it's like as normal. But it also shows like you can tell when the pro players are in 4-3 because you can just see this guy like creeping up on his screen and you're like, you can't see him? Hello?
Yeah. Um, I have like a super ultra wide monitor, and like the games that allow me to use it, like R6. Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, it's like 49 inches, super fun. Um,
Super
R6
fun.
actually it wasn't working before, but in the newest patch they actually like because I used to have to play in ultra wide stretched. Um, but then they finally added super ultra wide support, so I unstretched it, and now everything feels like super skinny in the game because I got used to stretched, and so like not the characters hitbox still feel so stretched is fine in the maps that I know, but on maps I don't know, running around in stretched I just feel so lost because I can't see anything correctly, and my brain's like nothing's right, so I finally put it back, but it was so weird to like see like the bulletproof cameras. I'm like, why are they so skinny? Because I was used to them being just like
hmm
stupid fat.
It's absolutely big. Well, that's the thing is like, have you seen, Mans, I don't know if you saw it, but the difference between a normal 16:9, 1920 by 1080 aspect ratio of League of Legends, and then you see Jono's, and you're like, is this
Yes.
guy cheating? Like, you can
He
see
sees
the
the
entire
entire lane.
jungle. Like what? This man can see the lane hitting the tower before, as he's at his own tower. Like,
Yeah, no, I know. I'm like, how do you ever get ganked? Like, I don't
yeah,
get it.
like
How do you
I just don't
always
have
die
wards
to
see
there,
the
gank?
so it's
guy a
just
mile
dark.
before he's even there.
It doesn't matter. You could see the entire map. You're just a zoomed out version, man. I don't get
Yeah,
it. Like,
yeah,
That's
I
so
can't
nice.
zoom out that far. What the
I
hell?
was so you know how like Discord stuff we screen share it normally does normal aspect ratios. Well,
Yeah.
his was just super skinny because it's
Mhm.
so long, and I'm just like,
I've
I
tried
think I should
streaming like
Insert
League and
image
when I
here.
stream League, I have to put like my screen and then like a bunch of like because it takes up half of the screen, and so the other half has to just be like a background and like tickers and stuff. But people watch it are like I can't see anything, and so like I try to stream all my games in 16:9, but then like I'm losing out. Like playing League, I went home to visit my parents over Christmas break, and I played a bunch of League there on like this monitor, my old monitor. And it felt weird. I'm like, I can't see anything. I'm dying like constantly. People are just running
yes,
at me.
that's what normal people feel like,
Yeah,
John.
I
Yes,
know,
Like
dude.
normal people die
and
to
then if
ganks.
we ever play on yours, if we ever played on your monitor, we'd be like, we can see everything.
Yeah, it's so nice. So I get used to it in a lot of games. Apex is actually the only game that really broke it because if you sit next to a corner, Apex the camera will like go through the corner, but it won't just like black it out. It will show you the other side of the like wall. So I was hiding at a spot I normally did, like I just had dropped in, was tucked up against a wall with a shotgun, saw a guy. I was in my head. I saw a guy. I was like, okay, the guy just ran by the window. He's gonna run into this door right now. So I turned and one shot him in the head, and I was like, it was a spot I had always dropped. I'm like, I don't remember there being a window there. That was weird. And I look at, and it's just a flat wall. And I was like, what? And so I stand next to the wall and I turn to the side and like a sliver like this, like a couple inches wide, just peering right through the wall. And I was like, this is insanely broken. Like I don't abuse it, but if I'm ever like tucked up against the wall, like I can literally just see someone like coming on the corner. So I was like, oh, that feels. Every other game, like
Yes.
it doesn't feel as
Invite
cheap.
Jono to Apex tournaments. Why does he seem to be sitting next to this wall in this corner? Is constantly putting his.
Well, it's
side-
only such a sliver that you can't like view that far with it because of the FOV. It's like really stretched and weird
Yeah.
stuff. So, but it's only helpful if someone's like right next to you. But every other
That's
game
weird.
seems to handle it pretty. Overwatch actually just doesn't. You can actually go widescreen in Overwatch, but all it does is it cuts the top and the bottom off and like squeezes it in the middle. So it's actually like you're losing a lot of video. You're losing a lot of like vision. So you have to play in 16:9 for Overwatch. They said they don't want a competitive advantage for. So Fortnite lets me play full widescreen everything in regulars, but as soon as you go to ranked, it squeezes it back to 16:9 and forces you in with black bars. which I
Guess
thought
that's
was pretty
fair.
Why are you playing Fortnite?
good. Fortnite's
Yeah,
fun.
that-
I played a lot of Fortnite before season 1. And my
we
friends were
all
all
did, but then we just kind of like stopped.
my friends. So one of my friends used to grind it and like go to competitions and tournaments and stuff, but on Xbox, and so he's picked it back up on PC. And he's just like, hey, you guys want to play? And I was like, yeah, I don't see why not. It's a fun. I don't take it seriously, but I still like sweat out learning builds, and it's another game to some more mechanics and stuff to learn. It's kind of fun.
So you know, like drinking games and stuff, like being adults. And I know I just turned 21, so he doesn't quite know about drinking games yet.
Oh.
We used to do Fortnite drinking games where instead of drinking games, we just all got really drunk and played Fortnite just for fun. And had like 13-year-old kids scream at us and stuff.
We would do
you
that
know,
with Sea of Thieves because you would just blast sea shanties.
Sea
And
shanties,
just
yeah,
like we would buy like
yeah.
pirate themed beer and stuff, and just be like because we all play in my house, so we've got like 6 people in my house, like 2 different crews, just like
You can hear
screaming
the
sea
echo while you're
shanties.
going down
yeah,
the sea.
oh yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, okay. So Rift Clash was this weekend, which was an interesting tournament. This is definitely one of those tournaments that this is why esports people that are non-esports people run tournaments. It's kind of kind of go like this, where I don't like this team. It's not the team's fault, right? It's not the team's fault. It's the tournament organizer. There's a team that was there's 2 leagues, right? There's the normal league, which is like the higher entry fee, higher prize pool, and then there's the under diamond league, which is everyone's under diamond. Like the teams are under diamond, so you can have diamond players, but you've got to have like gold players then, right? And this team that ended up winning it all was D1, D4, 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 Plat 4.
Averages the plat.
Averages to under diamond. And it's one of those things where like because it's the beginning of the season, like OP.GG, their team, they're all like mid plat, gold, and stuff. But you go back and look at their season and unranked. You go back to season 10 ranked, it's like diamond, which was last season, diamond, diamond, Diamond.
Yeah, because
D1.
they went off of current instead of recent
Well,
seasons.
so
Which,
some of them they did go previous, but it's one of those things where like it's not the team's fault. They were allowed to play, and they're like, okay, well then we'll just play. We just win this then.
Yeah,
They
they're
were like
like,
winning
we're
23-minute
technically on the
games.
end, so we're fine.
Yeah, yeah, they're winning like 23-minute games without Baron and like 27-minute games without Baron, and like at least one of them had like 12 kills every game, but they would rotate who had 12 kills, and like they weren't like super sweating. They were like making sure they won, but they weren't like absolutely just like butchering kids. They were like having fun, which is fine. But again, it's one of those things where like I recognize some of the names in the Discord, but it was brought in by a different organization that I haven't heard of. But like there are a couple, but obviously it's like the lower league, so the lower league, no one really cares. Like it's just the lower league, who cares? It's the big tournament, MSU, Aquinas, the big teams that we're playing that is everyone really cared about. It's just like the thing is like none of us can really complain. We're just like, all right, guys, this was for fun. Like we're gonna treat it like it was for fun. In any tournament for money, you kind of expect like some level of cheating or smurfing in some way, shape, or form. But they participated the way they were supposed to. They put in their money, they put in their team, and they just happened to get put in this division. Which
You actually had to there was 2 different registers, so they specifically
yeah,
registered for that division.
yeah, but then it's on
But
the
they were
tournament
allowed
organizer.
to go,
Yes,
hey, bump you up. Yeah.
yeah, it's on the tournament advisor, the tournament organizers to be like, hey, look, like this is an under diamond league. You guys are all diamond except for one of you. You can either upgrade, like the entry fee was more or something like that for the upper. You either you pay this or we refund you. Like those are your 2 options because we're not gonna ruin our tournament integrity for this. So I don't know if we'll go back next year because of like that stuff like that. I mean, it was weird because one of the other teams that we were playing, I definitely knew someone was smurfing because the match history that gave, they had like 80% win rates on stuff over like 80 games. I'm just like, that's not really normal for someone,
Yeah.
And then they were like playing champs they don't normally play, and I was like, seems a little fishy. But I mean, again, it's whatever. We were there for fun. We had fun. Obviously, when money gets involved, things get a little salty more than they need to be. Like I may still be salty because we lost, but like in general, it's just one of those things where like maybe if we ever do a tournament where for money, we're definitely gonna like
You can
look
definitely
over
tell
things
when
clearly.
the tournaments are organized by people who
Mhm.
organize other things and who are like, oh, esports is a big thing, we should do that, versus
Or
like traditional
people
like
who just play the game.
players. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
players
yeah.
versus
Would not
people.
necessarily one's better than the other, but I think you need a good mix of both to really kind of catch
You
stuff
need
like
good.
that.
You need a combination of minds to combat it. Because otherwise, if you have one person doing even one job by themselves without referring to others, then it's gonna be like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, there could be mistakes here, and it's not like it's on that person by themselves. There should be a reference. So
Yeah. So I mean, there's definitely a need for esports people and non-esports people in tournaments and stuff because I know all of us have talked to esports people before, and communication usually isn't the greatest.
Yeah.
We're not very good communicators in general as esports people. But like the people who are outside are like, hey, look, this we're from business, and obviously we know how to communicate, we know how to run stuff, we know how to do all this stuff. But then there's the people who like can go and through and look at the stats and go, this guy's got 80 games and an 80% win rate. Maybe we should ask for his other account because this doesn't seem quite right. And like, oh, you haven't played any ranked game this year, but you were D1 25 LP last year. You're not playing in this bracket of the tournament.
What's the average like win rate? Like what's a good win rate to like be kind of climbing in league?
50% up.
So it depends on where you start from. Like this guy went from gold to like plat last season in 80 games, and he was like 40 something and 8 on Alawi, and then like 20 something, and he played 3 champs, and all of them had like 90% win rates, 80% win rates, stuff like that. And then he didn't play any of those 3 champs in the tournament. So we're just like,
Yeah. In Overwatch
weird.
the same like
Uh,
the season I climbed 1,000 SR, which is 2 entire ranks. I did it on a 60% win rate. I just spammed a ton of
so
games.
yeah, back to like if you start from really low, it's gonna be super inflated because like if I was to start in Iron 4 and then go to Gold, I'm gonna have like a 70% win rate because I played all those games in Iron all the way up and won all those games. But then when you get to Gold, it kind of evens out for because that's where I'm currently at,
Yeah.
where it's right around 50 to 60. So between 50 and 60 is usually like your normal climbing rate, depending on where you start and where you finish. But yeah, like 80% is kind of insane. Like 90% is kind of insane.
Yeah.
75% is kind of insane. You get to like 65, you're just like, where
65
did you
I've seen
start?
like legitimate accounts, but anything over
Yeah.
that, especially over 75, 80, 90 is like,
Yeah.
okay.
And then you also have to look at how many games. Like if he's playing like 3,000 games and it's like a 75% win rate, you're like, what is going on here? Like where are you right now? Where'd you start?
Yeah.
But like if you've got like 75% rate over like 30 games, you're just like, okay, that's sort of smurfing, but like where'd you start kind of things. Yeah, no. So I mean, again, like we knew money was involved. We knew essentially who was gonna win by looking at who at the OP.GGs, which really shouldn't ever happen. You shouldn't
Yeah.
like look and be like, okay, these guys are definitely gonna win. Like we all paid money to get in this tournament. I kind of felt bad for Jackson College, who we played the last game because like they got crushed like every single game. Like every single game was like 25-minute or the last game, and we ended up dropping the game to them because I was playing because no one was sleeping during our game, and like the game didn't matter. So we're just like, you know what? Would you guys rather play, or you rather us forfeit? We're like, we'll rather just play. We're all here anyways. And they're like, okay, can we put our coach? And they're like, yeah, sure,
Yeah,
whatever.
I like that kind of
So
that kind of environment is fun. I know when we
yeah,
went to the Western tournament, we played against Siena Heights, and like they were cheering us on before, like because during warm-ups when they were testing the screens, we were the ones warming up on stage. Um, and so they saw like one of our guys' team name is just Adam, which is just his real name. He's just like,
yeah,
"What's my in-game name?" It's Adam, and you're like, "Okay, super creative." But and so they had a guy on their team whose name was Adam, and so they saw Adam and they just started chanting for him, and we ended up playing them, and they were like a gold team, and you know we were a Masters average GM average team, and so it was a little bit one-sided. We had a lot of fun, and afterwards they were really cool about it, and like even in the finals match they were cheering for us and stuff. So it was just cool to kind of get that environment and build with everybody and meet people and have fun doing. That's why we do these kind of events is to more be a part of the community and do cool
yeah.
stuff.
So like that game didn't matter if we won or lost. So like we trolled that game so hard. Like I was playing like Draven and stuff and just like memeing around. We had some like we had a Riven mid. Like we were just like, hey, this champ got buffed. Maybe I should try mid. Yeah, dude, let's do it. And so we were just like playing a random stuff and having fun. And I mean, I'm sure like they're like, hey, dude, at least we won one game, and at least we're over here like, yeah, we had fun. Like we
Yeah.
don't really care winning losing. Like this game doesn't mean anything for us. We're fourth place and they're fifth place. Doesn't really matter. We're not going to playoffs, so screw it. Just have fun. Which is how a tournament should be. Like we're all
Yep.
playing a game, right? Like for
Right.
money or not, we're all playing a game. So like let's try not to make it super serious. So that was I don't know. It was a good tournament. Like other than like the few like administrative stuff and the tournament starting at like 9 in the morning, which is gamer hours. Our first game was at 10. Our last game was at 7. Can we just
We
talk
played
about?
3 games.
We
by
played
the
3
way.
games.
Oh
Can we just
no.
talk about like the 4-hour break we had in between? Thanks, guys.
Western did
I
that where they scheduled an in-person event, and they took like the average length the game would go, or like the maximum length the game could go, and they scheduled that between every game. So we went there, we showed up there early. It was like 10 a.m. We didn't leave till 7 p.m. But it was like in person. Yeah, we only played 3 games, and so it's not even like we can go around the house and do whatever. Like we didn't have access to the computer, so it's not like we were playing in between. We were just like sitting there watching the other games happen all day. And they were like, it was the first event that they had run for Overwatch, and Overwatch is really tough because the game, our best 2 out of 3 could end in 40 minutes, but it could take like almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to schedule games like you kind of almost have a flexible schedule where it's like, okay, when this round is done, everybody gets 10 minutes and then the next round starts. But that's really terrible for organizing viewership in a live event where people are going to come watch. So finding the medium there is really, really tough. When I do it in the future, when we get the new event at fairs or the new like place at fairs to do it, I'm going to schedule like about an hour and a half in between or 4 of the games. And then if they go over, we'll push back the later games because I think people coming to watch a game, like if they're coming to watch one specific game, they can wait another extra 20 minutes or whatever to watch that game instead of, A, not knowing when it's going to be, and B, like everybody just sitting around all day.
So this is again when I used to play sports tournaments and stuff. They used to have like a 2-hour lunch, and if your game went longer than it was supposed to, like overtimes and stuff, they would play the makeup game in an 2-hour break, which
Okay.
is something like later for like scheduling and stuff. Be like, hey, we're doing best of 3s, but then we're gonna have like a 2-hour lunch break. So if like the games run over or something, we can just go through our lunch break and
That's a
play
good
those.
idea. I really do like
Because
that.
because like only one team will then be losing their lunch break, but then they're done afterwards. They can eat lunch then.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like staggering lunches like they do in school and stuff. So
Yep.
again, I've been a part of tons of tournaments for different things. So if you ever need ideas and need working
No,
stuff,
for sure. Like
I
wrestling
got you.
tournaments is what I did mostly in high school as far as wrestling and band, but band was just like you go do your thing and you're done. You don't like do it repeatedly. But wrestling was just like all day, like Saturdays and Wednesday, all days. Like you show up at. I remember one time we got on the bus at 4 a.m. to go to a tournament. Our coach was always the one who was like, we have to be first. We beat the athletic directors for the schools to their tournaments most of the time. One of them was in Williamston and we were in Newaygo. And Williamston is like 3 hours of drive, and it was the middle of winter and icy. So our coach, 4:30 a.m. we are on the bus, like going to a tournament that starts at 10. So like we
Oh
would
my
all just
God.
like go to bed early Friday, sleep on the bus on Saturday. We've got a full size bus and there's only like 12 kids, so we would just like bring little like boxes to put in between the chairs and just like sleep along the like both sides of the aisle.
I'm doing that for esports tournaments.
Yeah.
We're
I
getting
All right,
prob-
guys. All right, get on the bus, guys. We're sleeping
Get
there.
on the bus. We're sleeping on the bus.
Yeah, so we like the athletic director would like we would be waiting in the parking lot. The athletic director would open it up. We'd just like go in, do our weigh-ins, like get a little bit of food, and just like sleep on the ground. So,
Okay.
but
Kind of a weird
Ambitious,
way to
bro.
end it.
Very initiated. Ambitious. Yes.
what are you excited for the rest of the semester for your team, man?
So we're gonna be doing tryouts again. So like this is weird because like, after Christmas, I got a bunch of DMs from like 6 people like, "Hey, when are league tryouts?" And I'm just like, we can't really add people. We're like the last 2 weeks
Even
of the
though
season,
the
like we're the last 2 weeks of the season. We can't add anybody. So I'll probably be doing league tryouts at some point. I've got to figure out when soon. TM.
Let me
We
know.
have
I'd
a
love to come and watch.
Yeah, we will have a new mid laner. We have Shade, who has been insane, who just like randomly appeared. Like the week before we were supposed to lock in our a roster for Rift Clash, he's like, "Here, guys, I'm here. Like, hi, I'm a mid laner. I was plat last year." And like we watch him play, and he's like solo killing every person he's ever played against. I'm just like, this is kind of insane. But all right. He needs some work. He just came back to League, so he needs some work. But there's that. So tryouts, and then I gotta find some other tournaments. Hopefully stuff that's free, because I mean I don't mind paying for stuff, but like as I said, like if you pay for stuff, you're expecting some level of like cheating, smurfing, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So I don't know. Plus, we don't have a ton of money just to be like, here's $150 a weekend, go play games, guys. Like we don't really have that money as a program right now. So I yeah, there's that. We'll probably be scrimming a little bit, but it's one of those things where like we don't know what's going to happen next fall for our team. Like we don't know who's going to be coming incoming freshmen. We don't know, who's leaving. I mean, we kind of know who's leaving, but there might be people who come. So Cheese might be back next semester, he said. So we might have a Diamond 80 carry back, and so we don't know what's going on in general. So for now, a little bit of a break, and then we'll pick up in like a week or two after this tournament and see what's going on. So, and
Makes
how
sense.
about Overwatch?
Yeah, we just got into game battles, so it's what used to be Tespa. Tespa kind of went under. Tespa was using game battles. We shopped around a bunch. Nothing is really kind of filling the Tespa void, so we're just gonna kind of go back with game battles for the rest of this semester, and then over the summer kind of shop around. And I think a lot of people are working on stuff for the fall, so we're gonna start to look around and see what the best is. I know Blizzard. I want to do like the official Blizzard collegiate stuff, but that was through Tespa, so I don't know what they're planning on doing for in the fall. If they're gonna still do the game battle stuff, or if they're gonna do something different.
Nice.
But as far as the players go, just getting these players better, I know they have a lot of room to grow.
For CS:GO, we're gonna be holding tryouts coming in for the fall semester and stuff like that. But we're also losing a player because he's graduating, which kind of sucks because he was one of the good players.
It's still good.
I don't
Please,
care if one of
if
you
you're watching
bad
this, one of the
players-
students, graduate. Please graduate as fast as you can. That's the
Yeah.
goal for me. We love having you here. We love having you being players.
Yes, we
but
want
the
you
goal is to
here,
leave.
but graduate as well. It's a student athlete. I understand, but it's just kind of unfortunate. But yeah, we're gonna host the tryouts. We're hopefully having some people there. I'm gonna be playing on the R6 as well, the makeshift R6 team. It was kind of like anybody who wants to play, sign up. and there was only one slot left, and I don't want to dedicate full time to it, and Den Chief can't dedicate full time, so Den Chief and I agreed, hey, we will both sub the 5th spot. So like if one of us can't make it, I will play, and then so on and so forth. So it's
What is
kind of like but
what is the league requirements for that? Full time, halftime, or what?
for CR6 is I believe halftime at minimum, but if you get into like playoffs or something, I don't know. It's like I think it's full time. I don't know for
Okay.
sure. Um, which is kind of weird because CSL had the same thing. They didn't really ask for any information, but then they're like, "Oh, playoffs have information ready," and I'm like, "Why didn't you do that from the start? So you let somebody that potentially could not be on the
Way more
team."
paperwork.
Yeah, way
Tespa
more
did that
paperwork.
too originally. It was, yeah, like you had to be like it was like, yeah, you can play if you're halftime, and then playoffs came in. It was like full time only, and Sam was at 9 credits, so we had to sub him out for playoffs and stuff like that. Which
Mhm.
was kind of like, hey, why did you let us play all year? And
Yeah,
there
and
was one
then
team that ended up like going to playoffs. So like one of the players like wasn't even he like dropped out, but like was still playing on the team, and it was like a whole huge hassle.
oh boy. Yeah, and then we have this weird situation where one of our players is actually an internship out in Arizona. So how does that work out? Is that considered full time? Is that considered part time within credits? And we think it considers full time, right? Because you're treating it as a full time job, but it's an internship under the program. So and then they're like, well, we'll have to go talk about it if you get in, and we didn't get in, so it wasn't a conversation. But in the future, that might be something that comes up for you guys as well. So
God, I hope not.
true,
I
true.
want them all to succeed, but let's not worry about school issues with the tournament organizers. I don't get along with tournament organizers to start with. I have had nothing but negative experiences, so I want to
Right.
try not to work with them as much as possible.
Hopefully, there's new league options down the road.
So the thing is, like, CSL and CLO kind of just strangle everybody. They're
Mhm.
the two big ones. Like CSL purposely ends right when CLO starts. So it's just like you're either in one of these two tournaments, and obviously like the under diamond people will obviously get knocked out of CLO super quick, but then there's nothing until CSL starts back up next year.
Mhm.
So
Which
it,
means somebody can fill that spot.
I mean, so there are smaller tournaments, and there's like RP tournaments and stuff that we could play in, but like, the time constraints and stuff like that of our
Yeah,
team, and some of our team sleeps through games, some of our teams don't,
true.
don't take work off for our games. Some of our teammates have children
And
who
you guys
are,
just don't want to practice.
sometimes they just don't want to practice or respond to scrim
I
invites and
never
stuff.
understand that. I never.
I uh, I don't
Like
want
when
to
you
talk
said,
about it.
"Hey, I need you to play for the team," I was like, "All right, cool. When's practice?" And 2 weeks go by, and we don't have practice at all. And I'm like, "Ah, this sucks. What are we doing?" And
It's really
literally
hard a lot
one
with
of our games,
mhm.
I didn't play for like 8 days, and that was the first time I was playing because
When
like
our main tank player he doesn't play Overwatch outside of scrims. Like he scrims with us, and if scrims aren't happening, he's playing
yep,
Phasmophobia or some like random other game. But he's really
that's
good when he
what I was
plays. So
doing
we're
with
like,
League.
if you can continue to play at a GM level, I mean, there are some professional Overwatch, like a lot of Overwatch pros. They're grinding ranked at home. They're on their streams, and there's a couple of notorious pros who are just like, it's my job. I go home and I do other things, and they come in and they play well, and you're like, okay, that's fine. So, if you
Which
start
is
to underperform, then it's like, okay, but
that's kind of a healthier way to do it, to be honest. Like it's super unhealthy to do the like I play scrims for 5 hours, then I go home and play solo queue for 18 hours, and I go to sleep, and
oh,
then
I
I
agree
wake up and do
100%.
it again. Popping
It will
caffeine
be
pills and
mush.
Like with
Red
my
Bull.
job, it's the same way. Like I will try to respond to stuff over the weekend, but it's not a guarantee. If I'm
No,
really feeling burnt out from that week, I'm not gonna respond to your message. Like if you need something, like I'm always there. Like 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 every workday, like always there. And then on the weekends, if I'm feeling chipper, then sure. But otherwise, like it can wait till business hours. So
So what you're saying is you need to be hired full-time esports. So do I, and then we can make this program exactly what it should be. Thank you. All right, thank you,
I
thank you.
agree.
I hope someone from Ferris is watching this other than us. No. Um, yeah, no. Thank you guys for finally doing this again. It's good. I
yes,
missed all of you.
yes, of
I'm
course.
glad we all got back together. And
Good. Same time next
you know,
week. Same time next week
uh,
for you viewers as well.
sure.
If it's
Go.
uploaded at the same time,
Yes,
because they
yes.
have to watch it, not us just recording.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course, of course. Coming soon, I
uh,
promise.
It is Super Bowl Sunday, so go Bucks. By the time you guys watch this, Tom Brady will probably have another Super Bowl because the refs are gonna go ahead and give him another
KC.
one.
Let's go.
That
No,
is just
dude.
proof that he's the best quarterback.
They're gonna do it. They
Oh, here,
they
look.
scam. They're gonna scam.
Here's why I'm a KC fan.
Oh, we got a chair with stickers.
Strange music. Let's
Strange
go.
music.
Strange music from Kansas City, Missouri. I actually got an American flag with all the Strange Music logos on it. I'm a huge Strange Music fan.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool. Oh, mm-hmm.
Go Kansas City. Let's go.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Now you know something about me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And on
Okay.
that note, see ya, everybody.
It's one of the weirder endings, but okay.